We are finishing the Buddha Hall, where we will observe the rituals the Buddha assigned for a harmonious Sangha. Due to the generosity of Taiwanese Bhiksunis, who have long supported us, we will soon receive 4 traditional Dharma instruments: a wooden fish, gong, bell, and drum. So we'll have a big bell with a external striker made of wood. Every bell is custom made for every monastery. In the morning there's this 25-minute sequence, and at night too, of chanting these verses to ask for peace in the land and all that, and then you bow to a lot of different Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and ring the bell as you're bowing. But the bell, as you know, there's the whole story of how there was a king. He converted to Buddhism and was very regretful of all the killing he had engaged in by starting wars. So he was very repentant. So nonetheless, he was reborn as a fish with thousands of heads that lived in the deep ocean. I think it must have been one of the hell realms where every day there was like a rotating sword or some kind of metal thing that would cut off the heads of the fish. And so that was the kind of suffering he had to endure. But because he had confessed and repented and was sincere, what would happen is whenever the fish would hear the sound of the bell and that rotating, the sword or whatever would stop, and he would just have relief for that time. So this fish manifested in a dream to the monk and said, "Could you please play the bell for a longer time? It will help to relieve my pain." So that's why you have this full 25-minute sequence of verses about liberating sentient beings of all the different realms, about bringing peace to the country and and the world, and then homage to different sutras, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas. So that's the morning practice starts that way. We just looked at this place that casts bells, these big bells, and you can choose what text goes on 4 panels. And then what they'll do is, they'll make sure all the text you want is lined out the way you want it. Then they have a basic mold, and then they put the letters on the bell and they cast it. So every bell is custom made.
Wow.
For every monastery.
Wow.
Yeah, there is no generic bell to my understanding. People always put the name of their monastery, or sometimes they put the names of their donors, or verses, whatever they wish to that's unique to their practice. So Venerable has chosen a verse by the Buddha from the Dhammapada, verses by Nagarjuna on dependent designation and emptiness, and then the Shantideva verse, as long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain. Yeah. And then we have mantras down the 4 sides, of Manjushri, Chenrezi, Vajrapani, and the Buddha's mantra. Yeah. And then of course the Abbey logo. We weren't going to go with the Abbey logo first, but the monastery manager of Forense talked to us about this. Because at first we were like, we'll put our name on this bell, what for? And she went, if your entire monastery is gone in 1,000 years, the bell is still going to be standing. And that really struck me, because when you think of Samye, the first monastery in Tibet, what is still standing of it are the bells. The bells are still preserved in Tibet, is my understanding. And then, we know this because they help you. They tell you the history of who donated these bells and all that. And one of these bells was donated by the first Tibetan woman who became a nun. Yeah, so she donated the bell to Samye when she was a queen. I think she's like the 4th wife of Tritsong Detsen. Right? So you know this from the bell, right? It's dedicated for the king's long life and so on. So she dedicates this bell. And what's unique about that bell is that it's made in the Chinese style. Yeah. So she was a student of the person we call Hashang Mahayana, the Chinese monk who was in Tibet to teach the Buddha Dharma. She and 30 other women were so inspired that they shaved their heads and put on robes. And the Chinese history compares her to Mahapajapati Gotami. So that's why there are Chinese scholars who think maybe she was a Bhikshuni. Who knows? Yeah. So anyhow, she donates another Chinese bell to another monastery later on when she is a nun. So there were these Chinese bells being put up at the first Tibetan monastery. So we are the first first training monastery for Westerners in the Tibetan tradition in the US. And we're going to have this Chinese bell, Chinese style bell with English words and Tibetan mantras on it.
闻钟声啊，烦恼轻，智慧长，菩提真，你智慧就长了啊，你的菩提真了，为什么？你菩提真了才能成佛嘛，离地狱，出火坑，愿成佛，度众生，重不重要？非常重要呢。我们为什么我常常会跟我徒弟讲，不要唱太快，尤其扣钟记的时候，不要唱太快，因为你每一个钟声呢敲下去的时候，整个地狱是怎么样？闻到钟声，它就要怎么样？所有的苦难都暂停。不要唱太快，不要唱太急，要非常安住的，因为我们每一个钟响跟每一句在唱的时候，地狱都因为我们而受益所以离地狱，出火坑。在提醒大众，愿成佛，度众生。
She said, this bell is not for y'all. It's for the sentient beings with a connection to this place. So if the name is on the bell, they will find their way back to Sravasti Abbey, even if the actual physical monastery is gone.